recognize the Honourable Member for Halifax Needham.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to be very blunt, and I know that folks know that I'm passionate about a number of things, and children is one of them. And we need to open our eyes because they are our future, and if we want them to be productive citizens, we have to start investing in our kids. So nearly a quarter of Nova Scotians can't consistently and reliably afford healthy and nutritious food. People are struggling and at a very, very deep level to meet their daily needs. Nearly over a third, or 35.7% of children in Nova Scotia are living in food insecurity, insecure households, and the data shows that the highest percentage of people living in food insecure households are Black and Indigenous. We need a targeted approach to address all of the systemic issues and the root causes that lead to food insecurity. Too often we look to food as the solution, but food insecurity is not a problem rooted in lack of food. It's an issue that is rooted in inadequate income. Which brings me to my, I'm going to pass this in, but last month we met in community services in our committee, and Nick Jennery, the executive director of Feed Nova Scotia, was one of our presenters, and these are a few of his words. He said, in 2017, at the Standing Committee on Community Services, we stated, we cannot feed our way out of this crisis. People in need do not have enough money to pay for the basics such as food. In 2022, he appeared in front of the Public Accounts Committee and said, the problem isn't just that food has gone up, it's that income hasn't kept pace. A year ago in 2023, where I was sitting as well, he appeared again in front of the Standing Committee on Community Services and said lining up at charity for a basic human right is not food security. People need income. And so I'm going to read what he said. We've been sounding the alarm for many years, and here I am again today, which was on January 11th, telling you that 2023 was another record-breaking year for food banks in our province. We've seen a 26% increase in food bank usage across Nova Scotia during this past year. Some regions are being completely overwhelmed. Cape Breton food banks, for instance, have seen a 50% increase year over year in the number of people they are serving. 50%. 77% of food bank clients listed the high cost of housing and food as a reason for needing support. This has increased from 48% just 2 years ago. So these are very, very recent numbers that we need to be aware of, because when we think about, these are wonderful service providers. They are doing amazing work. The expectation for service providers to do the work of the government is absolutely absurd. So they also said that food banks across the province are being faced with difficult choice of either giving out less food or turning away new clients. As we've all said, telling government that food insecurity in our province has reached new highs is not new. People need more income and affordable housing to live a healthy and dignified life. So we know that the root causes need to be addressed before we can see any improvement in the quality for Nova Scotians. These are the questions that were mentioned. He said, what do I need to say to all of you here for there to be real measurable action taken to reduce food insecurity in our province? We are too focused on outputs and not outcomes. A program is launched here, a one-time top-up over here. Even in our own case, we're measuring kilograms and funds raised. But when you look at people, that's the outcome. That's what we all need to focus on. So when we talk about people, we talk about how it's so important for us to make sure that folks are being taken care of. That's our responsibility as a government, to kind of pick up where we need to pick up for those folks that really need us. Which brings me back to the conversation about the universal school food program, because our children are our future. Our children and our youth are going to be the ones that are sitting in these seats. They're going to be our doctors, they're going to be our lawyers, they're going to be our teachers, they're going to be everything and everything that we want them to be. But we need to start investing in them so that they can actually be capable to do that work. So the matter of the universal school food program, we know, and everyone else here knows, that the Nova Scotia NDP has been calling for such a program for years now. And I remember being a candidate on the campaign run, and this issue was huge because the previous government, the Liberal government, failed to take action on this matter. The program that the NDP campaigned on would have provided at least one meal a day during the school day, with an emphasis on foods that are locally produced, nutritious, and culturally appropriate. We introduced this legislation, actually it's sitting on, on the order paper, last fall, but action has not been taken. The problem has been apparent all along. The problem is simply becoming more visible now. Between 2020 and 2021 in Nova Scotia, there was 35.7% increase in the prevalence of all children living in households experiencing moderate to severe levels of food insecurity. Think about your kids. Think about how they would feel not being able to have dinner this evening or not having breakfast in the morning. Think about the amazing feeling that a kid would have at school having a warm, hot meal, a meal that is nutritious, something to keep them thinking for the day and as well focused on their school. What remains from the previous Liberals to the current progressive Conservatives is a lack of action from those in positions of power. So my understanding is when we are leaders and we are in positions of power, we actually can help make decisions. And I don't see decisions being made in regards to our children's food insecurity in no way, shape, or form. Since this government was elected, food costs have gone up exponentially. This year alone, average food costs were found to have increased by 11% across the province. We all know this. This is not a surprise. The increase in costs have not matched by an increase in the average spending power of Nova Scotians. Families with young children are struggling. We hear every day from folks who call us, who email us, who come to our office and tell us all of the hardships that they are experiencing, the crises that are happening, and food insecurity is on that list. It's at the top of the list. In 2021, Nova Scotia was the province with the second highest rate of children living in food insecure households at 31.4%, second only to PEI. So I know the PCs want to be the first at everything, but I want the government to know that having a failing grade and the second highest is not something to celebrate. So I hope that, when we put forward some bills and we have discussions and we talk about changing the lives of Nova Scotians, that we do that with this in mind. Today, there are roughly 52,000 children in Nova Scotia who do not have enough to eat and fully eat. 1/3 of all Nova Scotians accessing food supports are children. To bring these numbers into reality, Loaves and Fishes, a Sydney-based food bank, reported earlier this year rapidly increasing demand, with young families making up a significant number of clients. Volunteer and donation-run school food programs across the province are reporting increasing demand as well. And I'm actually very disappointed to hear that Feed Nova Scotia is actually providing food boxes to schools, which that was not the indication that was given to me by the minister when I questioned about food insecurity by children in schools. And I was really, really irritated by the fact that I heard this in a community services meeting from an executive director who as well feels that it shouldn't be happening. The bottom line is that many kids in this province are hungry and they do not have adequate access to food, and we know this. Action on a school food program should be taken just on this fact alone. But if this government remains unmotivated to take action on the basis of pure human need, I'll elaborate a couple more reasons why investment in school food program is a smart public policy. Universal school food programs are good for stimulating the economy. Universal school food programs reduce costs for families, leaving more money in their pockets. Furthermore, universal school food programs save money. The Auditor General report from 2022 on healthy eating in schools backs this up. It warned that if healthy food recommendations were not addressed, the ultimate healthcare costs would be in the billions, and we know that we do not have the capacity for excess healthcare needs right now. That is why the report called for a comprehensive school lunch program. We need to invest in our kids. At this point, it should be clear, very clear, that it's simply reckless not to take action on this matter. Kids are hungry right now, And the pain of that hunger is going to be felt by this government for years to come. The Liberals came late to the game, and the Progressive Conservatives are now dragging their feet on the implementation of the federal provincial universal school food program, which we could do ourselves because we are the province. But the NDP has known all along that action was needed, and I look forward for the day when every child in school in this province has access to nutritious food. I only hope that day comes sooner rather than later. Thank you.